Welcome to Mecum Presents On the Move, brought to you by State Farm. It's the show geared toward keeping you up to speed with the latest auto news, event coverage, and expert industry insight. Now, here are your hosts, Matt Avery and John Cramen.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of On the Move. I'm Matt Avery, executive producer of The Transmission, and joining me is my co-host, John Cramen, lead TV commentator for Mecum Auctions.
Hey Matt, how's everything going on your end of the world?
Things are good. Things are locked down, but things are good. And you know, it's funny, John, even though the calendar says May, the temperature does not feel like May. Here in the Chicago area, as you know, it's been blustery and cold the last week or two. So anytime warmer weather wants to show up, I am more than ready.
Yep, same thing here. Looking forward to have awakened a few cars out in the garage. My 2014 Mustang GT and 2010 Corvette has been out, but I've got some other vehicles sort of on standby there. 72 Corvette and 64 GTO that are there ready to go, just waiting for a boost in the weather. And certainly under these challenging times, no reason why we can't continue to enjoy cars in our garage and taking them out and giving them the first chance at sunshine in this new year.
Now, John, speaking of getting out and about, Mecum's upcoming Indianapolis auction is fast approaching, and big news with the announcement that now that's going to be 9 full days. Remind listeners, what are the new dates?
July 10th through the 18th, the bar has been raised. The target is 2,500 plus consignments. Keeping in mind that this event is a celebration of Dana Mecum's original vision of sort of the ultimate vintage car auction. And now that it's actually going to be executed and held 2 months later after the original traditional scheduled date, mid-May. It's always the week before the Indianapolis 500 there at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. Now it looks like all the pieces have come together for a great date in mid-July. I think the timing is ideal. A little bit of dialogue with Frank Mecum, the consignment director for Mecum Auctions, tells me that interest in expanding the auction very high, primarily due to the fact that there's 2 more months now to be able to gain consignments, and sellers are sort of chomping at the bit and buyers to kind of get back to business as normal. So making lemonade out of lemons in these strange times just might pay off for the potentially the biggest Dana Mecum's original spring classic ever.
John, one of the recent consignments that I saw that I really liked was a red with white stripes 2018 Ford GT, really a sharp looking car, and it's being offered on the MSO. That's a phrase that probably a lot of enthusiasts might be unfamiliar with. Can you explain what that means?
Well, when a new car dealer takes delivery of a car from the factory, there's no title. There is what's called an MSO, which stands for Manufacturer's Statement of Origin, and that just is sort of the original car's birth certificate, so to speak. So the big advantage and the plus to this particular Ford GT, Matt, is that whoever buys the car at auction, the title transfer will go from the dealer-owned MSO and the dealer-owned car right now to that new owner. So they would be able to have literally a original owner, and down the road, should they decide to sell the car, they could legitimately call it a one-owner car. And I'm going to consider that to be a very big plus for somebody that wants a Ford GT, of which there are many. Certainly the demand for the car exceeds the supply by a lot, yet they can still have the satisfaction out of being the first retail owner of the car. I think that's a big selling point.
Now, John, I've never driven a GT. I certainly would like to, but what I have done is I've been able to ride along with one of Ford's drivers who took me on some hot laps up at Road America, and I got to tell you, the experience was just flat out awesome. The amount of power that car has, the amount of power that car can carry through the corners, and the braking capability of that car, it is just unreal. I was curious, have you one-upped me? Have you been able to get behind the wheel and drive a GT yet?
I haven't driven one. I did have a chance to sit inside the cockpit of one and was maybe a bit surprised that it's pretty Spartan. But at the same time, I understand the concept, and that's to keep the weight low. Obviously, the build quality is very high, but it certainly is not a deluxe plush GT Tour, nor was it ever promoted as such. And I think that the demand for the car, the buzz for the car, all the reviews, and certainly the performance specs, it's a 200 plus mile an hour car right off the showroom floor, out of a very well developed twin turbo V6, by the way, gives a real good chance for Ford to let people know that their EcoBoost V6 program is alive and well, not only on the racetrack with the Le Mans win, but also as, by any standard, a world-class high-performance supercar.
Yep, it's a really great setup that is not lacking in performance capabilities, that's for sure. John, what about you when it comes to Indy consignments? Anything catching your eye?
Well, I'm going to go back quite a few decades in the past and just tell you the one car that really sort of stands out. Corvette owners in particular will consider it the Holy Grail. A 1967 Corvette L88 Convertible, the very last one of 20 built. It's a Bloomington Gold Hall of Fame inductee. That in itself is the maximum upper pinnacle of making sure that people understand that this car has not only been vetted properly, but is historically very significant. It still has its original engine. This car was raced for about 8 years from the time it was new. 150 wins, 400 podium finishes, and it's the last one built. And just to put the icing on the cake, Matt, this particular car is still in a kind of an as-race look. It has not been restored back to the way it would have left the production lines. At that time, of course, it would have been St. Louis. So this gives somebody a chance to own a car with legitimate race history, and the L88 legacy applies as well. And one more thing about this car that I think is interesting, I mentioned it had the original engine. A second rebuilt L88 engine goes along with the sale. So if somebody wants to vintage race this car or drive this car for any purpose, they could take the original engine out, they could put the replacement engine in, and if something does happen during competition to the replacement engine, no harm, no foul, they can always put that original engine back in the car. So really looking forward. Price guesstimate, all I'm going to say, it was going to fetch in the millions, and it's going to be one of the main attractions at Mecum Indy in July.
Now, John, let's turn our attention towards today's show. We're going to be celebrating 50 years of the Dodge Challenger, looking at both classic and contemporary versions with not one but two special guests. First up, we've got Tim Welborn. Now, I met Tim last fall. I hung out with him and a whole bunch of other Mopar enthusiasts at the multi-day wing car reunion that Tim put on in the Alexander City, Alabama area. Had such a blast. Really enjoyed my time with him. So he's a newer friend to me, but you've known Tim for a long time. How did you first connect with Tim?
Oh, I've known Tim for years. We've been so lucky to not only have a great friendship with Tim, who's regarded as certainly one of the top Mopar experts and collectors on the planet, but he's also been numerous times a guest in the announce booth with us on our TV show, Mecum Auctions on NBCSN. So good relationship, and I'm really interested to kind of delve into specifically his feelings of the early run, which was 1970 to 1974. The original E-body Dodge Challenger, and here's some of his recollections and memories and insight.
Now, bookending that conversation, we're going to connect with Kevin Hellman, brand manager for the current Dodge Challenger. Kevin's going to fill us in on the role of the Challenger in today's marketplace, as well as give us some updates on a car that you and I are very excited for, John, the special 50th anniversary edition that's heading showrooms very soon.
Yeah, I think we're really lucky and really honored, Matt, to have two of, we'll say, not only the top Challenger enthusiasts in the world, but a couple of the top experts as well. I'm really, really anxious and really excited to get their input today.
Mecum Auctions is proud to bring you On the Move with Matt Avery and John Craman. For more on the world of collector cars, head over to mecum.com. Now let's get back to the show.
Now, as we said, we are being joined by Tim Welborn. Tim is a lifelong Mopar enthusiast and owner-operator of the world-class Wellborn Musclecar Museum in Alexander City, Alabama. Tim, thanks so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you there, Matt. And it was nice seeing you last fall at the museum there when we had the 50th anniversary of the Daytona. And so glad to be here with you and John this morning.
Hey, Tim, where did and I don't think it's too far to line to say obsession with Mopars. Where did it begin for you?
Actually, I call it probably a sickness that I have. I can't get over. But it all began with my dad down here in the South. You either drove a Dodge, Ford, or Chevy, and with us being close to the Talladega Speedway, my dad just chose that he was going to own Dodges, and so he took me to the very first race in Talladega in 1969. Watched the big K&K Dodge go around it, and that pretty much set in motion. And then he bought a 1971 Hemi Charger, which we still have till this day, and that's where it started at, right there.
You took it to an extreme, unlike a lot of collectors that have a private collection with the Wellborn Musclecar Museum. When did that begin, and how did you begin to think that this could be something that it would grow to the point that it is now a world-class facility in every way?
Well, it started, actually, the museum opened 10 years ago this year. And Pam and I, we had a large collection of Mopars, as y'all all know. And we got to thinking this great-looking 1950s dealership is available 2 blocks from our home that we can remodel. And I said, let's go put the cars in there and have fun with them. And then one thing led to another. I said, well, why don't we open to the public? Let them see what we've done with the cars through the years. And it just grew and grew from there. But it's been about 35 years of collecting with me, and again, it's mostly Mopar, and everybody knows that. But if you come to the museum, you'll actually see W30, Ram Air 4 GTO Judge 4-speed, Boss 9s, GSXs, LS6s. You'll see any of the 1970 year. I have on display there all of the big horse cars that would have been competing against each other.
How many cars currently do you have in the museum collection, and how frequently do you change inventory?
We change inventory a lot. In fact, we just completed that thanks to the coronavirus. We've totally turned the museum upside down, and at any time there's about 40 cars in there. We're getting in also some great cars from other collectors that want to put their cars in, which keeps it fresh. Like right now, there's a purple 71 Hemi Cuda in there from an enthusiast, and a 68 Hemi Charger that won basically every award in the country. So it's being mixed up now, not only with our cars, but other great cars from great collections that want to place them there to be seen.
We're celebrating 50 years of the Dodge Challenger, of course, debuting in 1970 as a companion car to the Cuda, Plymouth Barracuda, on the E-body platform. Challenger's a little bit longer wheelbase, a little bit of an upscale trim level. What are some of your thoughts in regard to the 70 through 74 Dodge Challenger, some of your preferences, some of your favorites, just your overall sort of take on the significance of the first run of the Dodge Challenger?
Well, I will say, honestly, and there's a lot of Mopar people. We've all got our difference of opinions on what's the prettiest Challenger or what's the prettiest Cuda or Charger or Roadrunner. But to me, the 70 Challenger RT has to be one of the prettiest cars ever. And, it basically came out in a little late in the pony card race, but it went up against the Mustang very well when it did come out. To me, the 70 Challenger, the grille and the tail lights is what makes it for me. The 71 changed a little. They're pretty in their own way, but the 70's always been my favorite of the year model.
Now, Tim, when it comes to those 1970 Challengers, what are the super hard to find, super rare, desirable options that are out there?
Well, I would say when it comes down to rarity, the 70 Challenger, it would be a shaker hood on a 70 Challenger, because the shaker hood was only available on the 446 pack and the Hemi. And in the Cudas in 1970, there's 660 plus of those things, but every Hemi Cuda had a shaker hood. The Challenger did not. So anytime you see a shaker hood that's a true N96 coated car, those are rare. And then when you throw the Hemi with it and you throw a 4-speed with it, and maybe plum crazy or citron yellow or one of those wild colors, you've got something then. And so rarity is what it's all about with the Challenger. I don't know how many Mustangs were built, but there's probably about 1/10 of the Challengers built with the big motors in them. So that's what makes them special to me anyway.
In that first year, 1970, the Challenger had a incredible variety of engine options, all the way from 6 cylinders, a base V8 with a 318. The first performance variant really got 340, but you get a 383. You could get, of course, the Hemi. You could get two 440s, a 6-pack, and a 4-barrel. If you had to say what would be your ultimate 1970 Challenger, and you could order one today, what color and engine and option package would you put together?
It would be, oh gosh, that's a tough one. I would sum it two ways there, John. If I'm going to drive the car and I'm going to have fun with the car as a daily Charger or Challenger RT, I'd want a 444 barrel with air. And I would do it in Hemi orange with a white interior. That's what I would love to drive. Now, if you're going to go for the big bad one, obviously, the 446 pack's a great motor. And if you want to spend about $780 something more dollars, you can get the Hemi, and those are the king of the hill. And if that would be a plum crazy with actually not a white interior, some people might think, but a houndstooth interior. I think the black and white houndstooth goes great with the purple. So that would be my choices. I'd have to say there's 2 cars there in that play.
Now, Tim, does the museum's collection currently include a 70 or 71 Challenger?
Yeah, right now I've got several. One that stands out that's really pretty, though, is one of the 6, what some people call the Bob Hope cars. It's a 440 4-barrel red. It's one of the cars that was, sent all over the country. It's red, white interior, every single option, 440 with air. And that one is just a beautiful machine. It's done become, as you know, Pam likes purple, but every time she looks at that red, white interior car there, she just falls more in love with it, she says. So that's probably the number one Challenger I've got there. Then I've got a 71 and a couple of more, but that's the one that stands out. That's the real looker.
What about when it comes to just being an all-out blast to drive?
Oh, hands down, that would be the TA, the 346 pack and 290 horsepower. If you've got a Hemi or a 446 pack and you're out there red light to red light, you better look out for those guys, because that car is so quick that it will get you. And that car come with front and rear sway bars, fast ratio steering, great brakes on it, and the exhaust system just sounds so great because you got the trumpet exhaust coming out each side of the car. And when you're shifting a 4-speed, you never turn on the radio. You keep your windows rolled down. So when it's and then that you see that big fiberglass hood with the air intake, it's just a good-looking car, and the rake on the car. Think about it: G60s on the back, E60s on the front. Sets the car down on the front end a little bit. It's just one fun machine. If you're just going to have one Mopar for a fun factor, the TA is the car.
Now, Tim, as was mentioned earlier, last fall you and your team put together and threw just an out-of-this-world celebration for Mopars, multi-day, and even involved time on some racetracks. And come to find out, it was not a one-time deal. You guys are doing it all over again. What's planned for this year?
This year, we're going to be doing the 50th anniversary of the 70 Mopars, which definitely includes the 70 Challengers here, and Chargers and Roadrunners and Cudas. So, as you know, Matt, we had a great time here last year with the wing cars coming in, and it's going to be an exact repeat of that. And if anyone is thinking about attending, you can go to the website, and I promise you, as you know, we will have a great time here, and like we did last fall.
Tim, what is your website for those that want to keep tabs on what you're doing down there?
John, it's Wellborn Musclecar Museum.com. And that's where you can reach out to us. And we've been doing a few little videos and stuff off our Facebook there that shows you what we've been doing inside the museum for the last couple of months.
Now, Tim, it's obvious that you are passionate about classic Mopars, but I got to ask, what about when it comes to the latest Dodge performance offerings? Are you into that stuff as well?
Oh, yeah. You gotta look at it this way. The 70 Challenger started way back 50 years ago, and then the new Challenger has been probably the longest running body style possibly in history that I'm aware of. And I've had several of them, and right up to what I still have today is a Purple Demon, which you've heard all about how those perform, and it does everything you think it will and a lot more. So I do love the new Challengers. In fact, if you come to the museum, pretty much any day that you're going to come there, there's going to be some new Challengers sitting out there. That's just those people are driving them and coming to the museum to see the old ones, which I believe later on in life, they're probably going to be buying the old ones as they get more well-heeled in life.
Well, thanks, Tim, for stopping by and sharing about your Mopar passion and love. And I certainly can't wait to get back down to the museum and check out the new updates.
Well, I sure want to see you here, Matt. So you plan on coming. And John, you need to come too. You hadn't been here yet, so I'd love to have you come down.
Well, I think the plan is, Tim, is for both Matt and I to come down and visit in person. I am very ashamed and embarrassed I haven't made the time, but thinking about it here as we've been operating under the quarantine, life is short, and I'm going to take advantage of those bucket list items, and you're right at the top of that list, my friend. Can't wait to get down there and see you in the museum.
Well, I certainly look forward to that, and I will say that I enjoyed doing the Mecum events with you guys, and look forward to seeing those auctions come back online too real soon.
Don't adjust that dial. On the Move, we'll be right back. Our program is proudly presented by Mecum Auctions, the world's largest collector car auctions. Now back to Matt and John.
Now, there's certainly passion for classic Challengers, but there's also passion for modern Challengers. The model is still being produced. To find out more, we have got Kevin Hellman, brand manager for the Dodge Challenger, calling in from Auburn Hills, Michigan. Hey, Kevin, thanks so much for stopping by.
Hey, thanks for having me, you guys.
We're really having a lot of fun celebrating 50 years of Dodge Challenger production. Of course, it all hasn't run together a straight 50 years. There was a pretty big jump in the traditional Challenger platform between 1974 and the reintroduction in 2008. But really glad to have you on with us, and really looking forward to hearing kind of what's happening for the 2020 model year with the Dodge Challenger, and specifically the 50th anniversary packages.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
Kevin, let's start by talking a little bit about your background in terms of how did you get into cars, and then how did you make your way to FCA?
Well, my dad got me into cars pretty much since I arrived in the house. So he's always been a car guy. Had classic cars growing up. I'll throw out his 1970s Sublime Super B that he had. That was probably one of the first loves, and I mean, it just grew from there, growing up, going to car shows and NHRA drag races and everything else. So, and then I grew up in St. Louis area. So there was a Chrysler plant there. I had a bunch of family. So Mopar has kind of been in the blood since the beginning as well. So I have a background in engineering, and kind of through by way of couple different jobs after college and everything else, landed at FCA about 4 years ago to work on the brand side for the muscle cars. So have had my hands in Charger and Challenger since I've been here. So what a great opportunity to work on some awesome modern muscle.
Now, one of the things that's remarkable to me, Kevin, about the Challenger is how versatile it has been. I mean, you can get everything from a humble V6 to a crazy straight-line Demon version to an all-wheel drive variant. It just seems like you guys have got so much mileage out of that platform.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's a testament to how great that platform is. I mean, that it can support 808 or 840 horsepower, with the high octane on the Demon. I mean, and do it so well. That's one thing that I think, though, that has really driven our success on the Challenger, is that we have been able to run the gamut of high 20,000s to over $100,000 for a fully optioned car. I mean, very few cars can say that they kind of cover that full gamut and really, deliver on that promise at all those different levels as well. I mean, it's easy for us even too to get caught up in talking about red eyes and demons and Hellcats, and the V6 is an excellent car. Our SXT and our GTs are great cars. The all-wheel drive is something that we're super proud of because it's so unique in the marketplace. And I think if you went back and back in the 70s and talked about having an all-wheel drive Challenger, you would probably be get a few weird glances at you, but what an exceptional car, especially for us in Detroit and the areas that it's not always so sunny and we get snow in May. So yeah, I mean, being able to offer a Challenger kind of for everybody is really great.
Kevin, another kind of an undersung car under the Challenger umbrella is just the straight RT with the 5.7 Hemi.
Absolutely.
In the past couple of years, you guys have done an extraordinary job in taking the appearance and the image and the sound of that car and elevating it. And I'll just tell you just a short story. In March, immediately following our Glendale Arizona auction in March, I had the opportunity to drive a brand new 300-mile black RT, base RT, all the way from Phoenix up to Las Vegas. That's a 300-mile trip, and that's a very scenic route down Highway 93. I will tell you that the driving characteristics, the solidness of the car, the sound of that exhaust note, the booming stereo, that is an incredible car. It is, I'm going to say it's pretty close to sort of the ultimate road car. It's got a roomy cabin, and just, hats off to the whole FCA team for just continue to improve and refine what I'm going to guess you guys consider to be sort of a timeless platform.
Yeah, I mean, and I think part of it has to do with, and as you mentioned, the team Abound is helped keep this thing alive. I mean, it's just done so well. And the RT is honestly one of my favorites as well. Like, every now and then we get to sneak into some engineering cars and drive it. And last year we had this 5.7 black TA, and it was a 6-speed, and man, that thing is just a blast. It's a blast to drive. There's a lot of low end torque, so you still get that kind of seat feel for the speed, and it's it truly is a blast. And as you mentioned, it sounds great. Adding the active exhaust like we did in 2017 was really really helped there, and that's kind of how we view this car is. There's kind of a buyer at each of those different levels, and we want to make sure that we're not necessarily shortchanging anyone. And I think the RT for our entry level V8 is an exceptional car, an exceptional value. But yeah, I mean, I think part of it has to do with a little bit of a timeless design. It's very heritage, but at the same time, our team and our design office has done an exceptional job of tweaking and tuning over the years to keep it very modern as well. Especially with the wide body, I'd say that's kind of our newest. That's really our newest kind of appearance, and there's something so very modern and kind of planted and muscular about it, but still has that heritage look. So I think it's all the pieces together that are really helping us deliver on creating a great car for our customers and continuing our success.
Well, I'm going to tie in with that with your marketing efforts over the past several years as well. Compared to the competition, certainly not the only pony car platform on the market, but you guys have really done a great job of just planting it in people's minds that this is kind of America's muscle car. And I think you've done that better than the other manufacturers have, in addition to actually creating and updating the hardware to justify all that extra promotion efforts. And I think it's, for those of us that are old school, that remember the Dodge Challenger from back in the day, wanting a blend of that vintage heritage with a thoroughly modern, reliable, contemporary car with phenomenal driving characteristics. I don't know that there's a better car out there in the market right now for performance enthusiasts, especially when you put the value factor in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kevin, there's a new Challenger that's going to be hitting showrooms very soon. That's the 50th anniversary special edition. Talk a little bit about how did that project come about?
It kind of just came about of looking down the planning cycle of, okay, what do we got future model years coming up? And well, don't you know, 2020 is 50 years since the original launch. So then it was, what are we going to do to celebrate that? We can't let this go by without doing something. We need to do something special. So I think part of it was when we were looking at it, the Hellcat delivers on the performance, right? We've got a good range of performance on this car, as we've discussed. So that's when it was time to look at, okay, this is likely going to be an appearance package. And so how do we make it special? How do we draw from the heritage piece? How do we draw from kind of, forward looking in the modern piece? And then also what our customers like today? What are they telling us that they like and they want more of? Or so you'll see when you look at the 50th anniversary that there's definitely heritage touches. There's some modern touches with some, I guess we grew the satin black paint area than, versus just a hood that was more prevalent in the 70s. And some of the finishes that we're using and kind of tying in the 70 imagery where we could. So there's a lot of little Easter eggs that our design office put into this to celebrate 50 years. And I think it came out better than I could have asked for. So really excited that it started to hit the showrooms, and looking forward for the remainder to get out there as well.
Is this a limited edition package, or is it available for as many as folks want to order?
It is limited edition. So every vehicle is numbered 1 through 70. So we're kind of where it falls in the build. But what it is, it's actually available on 4 of our trims. It's available on the GT rear wheel drive, the RT with the 5.7 liter Hemi, and then we have it available on 2 Scat Pack trims. Both are kind of standard configuration, and then we have the Scat Pack wide body, which is where it's available as well. So we have 4 different trims, and then what we did is we really punched up the colors on this one. So it's only available in our high impact paints. It's not offered in black and silver and white. It's offered in those kind of throwback heritage colors, 3 of which are new for this year. So we have seven colors that are very bright and in your face. And then we're doing 70 of each of those colors on each of the trims. So kind of 70 times 7 times 4, there's going to be a total of 1,960 built for this. And like I said, they'll each have a numbered plaque on the IP that is tied to the body color of the car. So we have a unique and actually a new color called Gold Rush that's only going to be available on this limited edition. And so it'll have a matching plaque inside the car, and the same for all the other colors. So a lot of little unique touches, and on top of being a limited production, we're here to make this car very special to celebrate 50 years.
Have deliveries begun yet to retail customers of the 50th anniversary package?
Yes, they have. So fortunately, we were able to get a small subset of those out before we had to adjust our production, and so I'm looking forward to getting the rest out. So I think we've got probably maybe a couple hundred out, and I have seen some out on social media. Some customers that have happily taken delivery of their cars and are excited to be out showing it off. So.
And what about pricing, Kevin?
So the packages starts at $49.95 on the GT, and then on the RT it's $54.95, and then on the both Scat Packs it's $59.95.
I would say that those are instant collector items. My guess is you have any trouble getting all those orders filled on that great package.
Yeah, I mean, it's always exciting to put something together that people are drawn to because of collectability and things like that. I'm hoping that there are definitely some folks that are either searching for specific numbers that they want, because maybe it ties to another car they have, whatever it might be. But I'm really hoping that people get out and drive these things, and I see them out on the streets, and so that's what I'm looking forward to this summer. I'm hoping I see some here around Metro Detroit.
Kevin, in addition to that Gold Rush color you mentioned, I see some other colors include Hellraisin and Cinnamon Stick. Hats off for the wordplay.
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, colors is a big one on this, and I think that on this car, and I think that the names are part of that too, right? We had Plum Crazy back in the day and Go Man Go. So this is the wordplay is nothing new for these cars and for Dodge, and I think that's part of what draws people to these cars is that lighthearted nature of being fun and performance related. But also, I mean, a lot of our customers, they're very proud of the colors that they get, and it always amazes me. And on Instagram, people, they kind of use their car and their car color as their persona, right? Their Instagram for themselves is B5 Scat Pack, and so it just becomes all kind of part of that whole picture. So yeah, we did update some of we took classic heritage high impact paint colors and our design office modernized a few of them, if you will, and kind of tweaked them to create some new classics. So the Hellraisin is a really cool deep purple. Frostbite is a tweak of a B5 blue, so it's a lighter blue, but it's got kind of a steel gray look to it. Cinnamon Stick is a nice bright copper. That color amazes me because I've seen one outside and I've seen one inside, and outside it looks like it's just glowing. It's awesome. And then Gold Rush again is super super unique and obviously plays off the golden anniversary a little bit. So And then with this, we also have kind of new finishes that we put on the wheels and badges. It's a little bit of a play on that kind of almost as cast look from the 70s on some of the trim pieces, that silver. So it's a textured silver with a little bit of a gold hue to it. So just a lot of really, really cool pieces on this to make it special.
It's clear that Dodge works hard to keep an eye on not only where they've come from, but also where they're going. Kevin, talk about how are those two balanced out?
I think a big part of it starts is we're all pretty big car people. So we kind of already know the heritage. So when we sit down and we have these conversations a little bit like, oh, remember when they did that on 68 or 69 or 70 or, we kind of already pull from that just from our general knowledge. So having a passionate group abound is really nice. So that's from the brand side, the design side, the engineering side. So everyone is kind of has a vested interest in this car, and they appreciate it personally more than just all right, we got to do the next thing on this car. So that definitely helps. And so that kind of helps us pull in the heritage piece. And then like anything else, it's looking forward. So we're looking at trends of what else is going on in the automotive landscape. And we listen, we take pride in listening to our customers and what we're hearing either through our social channels or direct research or whatever the source may be of, hey, this is what we want to see you guys do. And it isn't necessarily big things either. It seems very, very small and trivial, but I know that for a while we kind of heard back from our customers on the Scat Packs, and it's an interesting little story. And so we had fender badges of Bs on our Scat Packs, right? Well, up until 19 model year, it was the same badge. So on the passenger side, the B was facing forward, but on the driver's side, the B was facing backward. And you'd be amazed at how many people felt that they wanted to tell us about how they didn't like that. And so we rectified that, and it was noticed and it was written about, and it was, so I think we owe it to our customers who are so passionate and so knowledgeable to be the same, right? Like they won't accept anything less. And so it's a little bit of, we owe it to our customers now and our customers in the future to do right by this car. It's not just, I think it's not just a car to a lot of people. So we can't treat it the same way. It's not just, oh, well, we launched a new blue and now we have one new wheel for the next model year. We have to do little things that make it special. And I think that's part of moving forward, but that's also a nod to the history, because I remember walking around with my dad at car shows. It's like, hey, what model year is that car? Oh, well, it's a 68 because it has round markers versus square, right? So there were all these little things that were done back then. I don't know, the reason behind them necessarily. But it's, I think it's a little bit of that, if you know, and we throw that around every now and then too. And so we make little changes. Every model year we change the IP badge just a little bit in all of our Hellcats, just little things though, to kind of show that to our customers, hey, this is special for you for this year. And then it kind of builds up a rapport with them as well. Cause they can be like, oh, I know that's a 17 because it has the black and gray Hellcat badge. So it's fun little things like that. It's those Easter eggs. It's that passion that is just kind of rolled throughout this car.
Kevin, I can't let you go without getting into a bit of Challenger controversy. What's the final word? Splitter guards. Leave them on, take them off.
Take them off. The splitter guards got to come off. But that's kind of our stance. And it's amazing to me that we have the passion around an item that's just meant to be there for delivery to protect the vehicle. But again, just showcases the passion around these cars and our customers that, nowhere else will you find Facebook groups that were created to discuss that topic or debate that issue. So some of our customers love them. Some of our customers don't. We do recommend removing them, but if they make our customer happy, then we're happy. So we want them to enjoy their car. I've seen customized splitter guards. So I would take mine off, but it's your car. Just be happy with it.
So Kevin, am I to understand that sadly I cannot order my 50th anniversary Challenger with color keyed frostbite or cinnamon stick splitter guards?
Not from us, no.
Well, Kevin, we really appreciate your insight and your passion about the incredible Challenger. We'd like to keep up to speed with you in the future. Any updates? We'd love
Absolutely.
to have you back on the show, and please pass along to all your crew our thanks, and let them know that we really appreciate everything you guys are doing. And V8's forever, man.
V8's forever. Well, I will do that. I appreciate the conversation, guys. It was fun.
You've been listening to Mecum Presents On the Move, brought to you by State Farm. For more information, visit Mecum.com. And join us again next time as we take you inside the world of muscle and collector cars and more.